possibilities by a certain percentage. I think next year we will manage to reduce the possibilities up to 40%, among others by having the completion of this canal. Yeah.
And I think New Orleans is going to be very jealous of you.
Well, we have other similarities with New Orleans too. But this canal helped to at least drain and keep 30% of the area of the capital city dry. Yeah. Though many other things that has to be completed yet. Yeah.
What about the other 70%?
No, I mean, the 70% is actually covered. Jakarta is surrounded by two main canal like this. The western part has been constructed by the Dutch government when they're still there in our country in the early 20s. Yeah. We are improving the capacity of that canal and building this eastern canal at the same time. So basically, if we manage to make those canal works accordingly, I think we will complete the inner circle of Jakarta, which is almost 70 to 80% of the area of Jakarta dry. Yeah.
And what role can the Delta Alliance play in this procedure?
Yes, this is important. We have to, I think, learn from each other, best practices, and though any region, any city, I think every city will have its own characteristic and its own solution. But I think we can learn from each other, we can exchange experience, and may also be able to access even a larger sources as how to solve the problem respectively. This is important. I was just visiting Shanghai. I mentioned to my colleague from Shanghai, from WWF. They managed to construct a new harbor, a deep sea harbor. I think it is 38 kilometers away from the coastal area. And in so doing, I think they're protecting not only the coastal area, but also they guarantee the delivering services that are required by the 21st century's harbor. But at the same time, they also managed to reclaim some big part of the coastal area in order to, and make it as an instrument, effective instrument as also to protecting the coastal area.
Mr. Wenwei Ren of the World Wildlife Fund China, if the Delta Alliance had already existed, what role could the Alliance have played in helping you as an NGO during this process of moving the harbor of Shanghai?
Yes, I think the Data Alliance is provide a very important platform that different stakeholders can share each other with different information. In fact, WWF China also initiated a similar platform we call the World Astral Alliance. We are play same role. Yeah. For example, in the Yangtze data is play very important role in the China economic development. But Yangtze data is also a very important the ecosystem for the conservation biodiversity. There are two Ramsar sites in the Yangtze data. So sometimes the economic development and the nature conservation is a conflict. So we also want to use it to learn from another data, not actually how to manage the different stakeholders, how to harmonize the nature and then the economic development.
Talking about managing stakeholders, that sounds like the traditional top-down Chinese method. Am I correct?
Yeah. Currently, there are since the WWF China, it can play such a role. For traditionally, maybe Chinese policymakers from top down, but currently, little by little, they can let more public join the policy making. I think it's changing. Yeah.
I was very interested when we spoke earlier, Professor Min of Vietnam, that you said that so much of what is happening in the Mekong Delta, the innovative things happening there, are really coming from bottom up, coming from the farmers who are suffering climate change physically in their own lives. Can you tell us something about the role of the farmers in the changes in the Mekong Delta?
In the Mekong Delta at the moment, the government, again, it sounds very much like top-down, but this initiative actually comes from a lot of adaptation lesson. It's a successful lesson from the farmers in the Mekong Delta.
What was the initiative?
Actually, the farmers in the Mekong Delta, they have a long tradition to live with floods. They actually exploit the floods as a kind of resource. They try to get the flood into their rice field in order to have fertilizer, a kind of natural fertilizer from sediment. They can get fish at that time. They use the flood water as a kind of cutting of the pest cycle, because especially rat, whenever you have a big flood, you know, all the rat is gone, and you have a good harvest after the flood. So the next crop after the flood. So all of those actually incorporate into a new national program. It's also got the name of the program from the farmers. That the program we call it Living Together with Floods. And now it become that national program actually trying to support and try to provide conditions for farmers continue to live in this way, but it's much safer than before. So the people being drowned by the floods is now, the number of those actually reduced quite a lot, thanks for that program. So that national program is look very much like top-down, but the initiative comes from the local farmers.
This really is an optimistic example, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah. Hussein Al-Atfi, you told us also that in the Nile Delta, you are also using rice as a way of securing the Delta. Can you tell us about this new policy?
But can I have a moment just to express what I feel now?
Please do.
Now I'd like to thank the organizers for giving this opportunity to us to be here with such distinguished experts, politicians, professionals, media from disciplined areas. And we are coming here to find a way, a mechanism, how we can increase our ability to face the uncertain future. And this is a very important message. And I have to say, since the beginning of this conference, in this very historical city of Rotterdam, since the beginning of this conference, and even since the beginning of the speech of His Royal Highness, the Prince of Orange, he gave a lot of messages. And then followed by very, very strong keynote speakers. And then multi-sessions and discussions, hot discussions, and exchanging experiences, views, and then come with this awarding for young professional. This is giving hope for the future, for our generation. So these are a lot of lessons that we learned. And when we come back to our countries, we will tell that we have a hope for our children, our people. Now, coming for the Delta, the Nile Delta, and this, how we can implement these lessons learned. The Nile Delta, you know, we have more than 5,000 years of practicing agriculture in the Nile Delta. It's contribute to our 60 or 50% of our economy. Agriculture, industry, fisheries, all. And it's worthwhile to us to keep it going. It's not only the Delta, it's also the Nile. We have only one resource of water, and we are sharing the Nile with 10 countries. So when we speak or we listen to term integration here, it's not only integrated the activities